Today, we're diving into a philosophy that has completely revolutionized industries, from giant car factories to, your local hospital. It's called Kaizen, and we're going to show you how its secret sauce, focusing on tiny, everyday steps, can lead to absolutely massive changes.
You know the feeling, right? You decide you're going to completely overhaul a system at work, or maybe tackle some huge personal project. And then, a few weeks later, you're pretty much right back where you started. It's so frustrating. But what if I told you the real secret to big change wasn't about those giant heroic leaps, but about tiny, consistent, almost invisible steps? All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the core philosophy of what Kaizen is all about. Then, we'll unpack the 5 mindsets that are the real soul of the system. After that, we'll look at the practical tools, the PDCA cycle, and the 5S framework, before wrapping up with why this whole approach is just so incredibly effective.
Okay, first things first, let's get a clear definition. What exactly is Kaizen? Because, trust me, it's way more than just another business buzzword.
So the word itself, Kaizen, is actually 2 words put together. Kai, which means change, and Zen, which means good. Simple enough, change for the better. But here's the key. This isn't about some radical, disruptive, overnight invention. It's about empowering everyone in an organization, from the CEO all the way down to the person on the front lines, to make small, continuous improvements every single day.
But here's the thing. Kaizen isn't just a process you follow. It's a culture you build. And that culture really stands on 5 fundamental mindsets that shape every single decision.
It all kicks off with knowing your customer. Basically, any improvement you make has to create more value for them, period. Next up is to let it flow, which is all about hunting down and eliminating waste, or what's called muda. Then, you've got to go to Gemba, the real place. This means managers get out of their offices and go see how work actually gets done. Crucially, you have to empower people, because let's be honest, the best ideas for improvement always come from the people doing the work. And finally, you have to be transparent, making problems and progress visible to everybody.
Now, let's zoom in on that word muda, because it is the #1 enemy in the world of Kaizen. Muda is the Japanese term for waste, and that means anything that uses up resources, like time or materials, but adds 0 value for the customer. Think about waiting for a file to load, walking across the office to get a tool you need, or making more of something that is actually required. The goal is to become a waste hunter and eliminate muda wherever you find it.
So, the philosophy is clear, right? But how do you actually put it into practice day to day? Well, the engine that really drives Kaizen forward is a simple but incredibly powerful 4-step loop.
It's called the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. Think of it like a little scientific experiment for your work. First, you plan. You spot a problem and come up with a hypothesis for how to fix it. Next, you do. You test out your solution, but you do it on a really small, controlled scale. Then you check. You look at the actual data and measure the results. Did it work like you thought it would? And finally, you act. If it was a success, great. You make that new process the standard. If it wasn't, no big deal. You just learn from it and start the cycle all over again. It's a never-ending loop of getting better.
But hang on. Before you can effectively run all these little improvement experiments, you need a stable, organized environment. You need a place where problems can't hide. That's where the 5S framework comes in. It is the absolute foundation for everything else.
And look, this is not some new management fad. The 5S system actually got its start at Toyota in Japan right after World War II, when they had to figure out how to be super efficient with very limited resources. By the 80s, it went global, and today it's used literally everywhere, from operating rooms to software companies. There's a reason this system has stuck around for so long. It just works.
And the framework itself is beautifully simple. First up is sort. Get rid of everything you don't actually need. Be ruthless. Second, set an order. Find a logical home for everything that's left so you know exactly where it is. A place for everything and everything in its place. Third, shine. Keep everything clean. This isn't just about looking nice. It's a way to inspect your equipment and your space. Fourth, standardize. Create simple, clear rules so things stay sorted, set, and shining. And finally, the hardest part, sustain. Build the discipline to make this a daily habit for everyone. The whole point is to create a workplace where anything out of place sticks out like a sore thumb.
Okay, so we've covered the big idea, the engine that drives it, and the foundation it's built on. Now for the most important question of all. So what? Why does this all actually work? Let's talk about the real tangible results.
The benefits are crystal clear, and you can actually measure them. When people aren't wasting time searching for tools or wading through clutter, productivity just skyrockets. A clean, organized space is a safe space, so safety gets a huge boost. When processes are standardized, you make fewer mistakes, which means higher quality. And this is a big one. When you empower your employees to improve their own work, their morale and engagement go through the roof.
And the real-world data absolutely backs this up. Companies that really commit to these practices see a direct link. Productivity goes way up, while safety incidents drop like a rock. But maybe the most important thing you see is that employee morale gets this incredible boost, all because people feel respected, they feel empowered, and they feel like they have some control over their work.
And that really brings us right back to the core idea. Kaizen isn't about some massive, scary overhaul that you have to plan for months. It's about starting small. It's about asking yourself one simple question every single day. Whether it's organizing the files on your computer or just making one tiny step in a process a little bit smoother, what is the one small thing you can improve right now, today?